We will rise, and we have Pastor Monk from New Heights Christian Church here to offer a benediction or invocation. All those that would like to participate may do so.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you, we praise you for just the blessings you've given to this county, Father, and we praise you for each and every one of these council members, Father, that give their time and their efforts to make this a nice place to be. Lord, we just pray that you will bless them for their efforts. Father, we pray that this meeting is a fruitful meeting and it's successful, and just pray that you will guide each and every one of these decisions. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from our August 7th meeting? If you have, are there any additions or corrections that need to be made?
Move to approve the August 7th minutes.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. I'll pass them down, the minutes down for your signature, please. Is there any mail that anybody would like, anybody's received that they'd like to share for the body of the council? Does our county attorney have anything?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to reports. Currently, we're in the midst of our tail end of our budget hearing, so I'm sure that we have really nothing to report there yet until that concludes. Is it safe to say, Dale?
No, we don't have anything to report for budget and finance.
Holly, do you have anything to report?
We do not. Councilwoman Wise would like for us, our committee to meet. I hope to get together sometime soon, before next month.
Okay. We're gonna wait on our commissioner's representative because they have an item of business that they need to take care of, so we'll combine that together. With that, we have our EDG representative, Mr. Dan Parker.
Good evening, County Council. You'll see before you a report. It's very similar to the one I gave to the commissioners this morning. I'm not going to go through each one of these line items and give you chapter and verse and blow by blow, but I will point out the dates that are in red. Those denote attraction to our community, businesses that are looking, that have come to Connersville to look at a variety of buildings. And we feel as though that we are somewhat close on one and possibly two businessmen bringing their businesses to Connersville. As you look at this at the bottom, there's a couple of items I didn't get in there. One of them was the work we're doing with adult education. We've given them some free space to hold an additional class. We vacated another location in Connersville, and so they are meeting on the second floor of the Ivy Tech campus. And also there is additional movement. I think I may have told you before that we are working to provide space for Cdl training in that same complex. The parking lots there will accommodate CDLA training, and there are also grants. So this is an excellent opportunity for someone who wants to get involved with that. I think I've read and heard that job started around 60 grand a year with the CDLA. So here's an opportunity to get a $5,000 CDL opportunity for virtually nothing. So that's another thing that we've been working on. And the rest of it, I'll leave that for you to read and digest at your leisure. I'm not going to read this to you. Is there any questions from anyone? I'll be glad to answer.
The Cdl training when or where?
It's they just did get their certificate from the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. Met with them last week, and I don't know exactly what the arrangement is, but they've the person who goes around from the state and inspects the locations said we had an excellent one. So I don't know the particulars. I know it's supposed to be this fall. I don't know exactly when it starts or what the length of the class is. I don't think they run like the school's classes run as far as length of time. I think it's something that goes fairly fast.
Okay. I just want everybody in the public that's watching to make sure that they heard this opportunity.
Yeah, inquire at Ivy Tech. They are the parent of that program, and we've been pushing that for about 2 years for that to happen. Any other questions? If not, I'll thank you for your support and sit down. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no old business, we have no new business. Highway Department additional appropriation request for trucks in the amount of $280,000.
For the $280,000, the original intent was to purchase 2 new trucks with that monies. However, in the last 30 days, we've had an opportunity, and I think you were presented some photos of that opportunity. I think they're laying there on the counter as well. We have the opportunity to purchase some used trucks that were traded in by Noblesville City Street Department. They had a fleet of, I believe, 10 or 12 trucks that they traded in for new trucks. These trucks are 2009s with less than 40,000 miles on them. So we have chose to utilize this money that you're voting on tonight to purchase 3 of those trucks, and hopefully that may alleviate the need for we can shift next year's proposed truck on next year's budget over to some heavy equipment purchases that we desperately need to start working in our capital plan as well for the highway department. These trucks, normally, if we purchased the new trucks, we would have to buy the blade, the snow plows extra, the salt equipment extra. These trucks are going to include snow plows, salt equipment with them, so they're going to be turnkey. They're going to be ready to go. We asked from our last commissioners meeting, we asked the dealership with a motion pending successful funding by the council that we go ahead and purchase 3 of these trucks, and we've asked the dealership to honor that request and hold 3 trucks. Richard was successful with that. They were more than willing to take our word for the potential funding, and he has picked out the 3 best trucks with the 3 least or the lowest miles on those 3 trucks out of the fleet that they've got up there. So I'm real excited about these trucks. Will they last as long as the new purchases? No, but we'll have them ready for snow removal this winter. If we were to purchase 2 new trucks this late in the game, chances are we wouldn't receive them till spring of next year. So we will have 3 trucks in the fleet if this appropriation goes through. Any questions, or I don't know if I can answer any more than I've already said, but
I know Richard has shared this information with me recently, but I can't recall. How many trucks do we now have out of service?
we have 2 completely out of service and a third one that is questionable. We truly need to look at a capital investment plan of 1 truck per year. And if we keep 10 trucks in the fleet, that will allow a 10-year-old truck to be retired. And our county highway really uses their trucks. And when you get a truck 10 years old down there, it's well used. We haul a lot of stone, a lot of riprap with them. It's hard. That bigger stone is hard on our beds. But we have a lot of washouts that we have to cover throughout the county. Primarily the southern part of the county is where we have a lot of washes and a lot of things that we have to haul that bigger stone to. So when we get a 10-year-old truck, it's well used. So that's why we'd really like to see us be able to start budgeting for 1 truck a year so that it doesn't hit us with a plan of having to replace 5 trucks or 3 trucks. We're just very fortunate. And I give the credit to the mayor and city street department director. He's the one that shared this information with me, and I passed it on to Richard. He right away got a hold of the dealer, the salesperson, and talked to him. And these trucks met the specs that Richard had drawn up to the T. So, I mean, we're not buying a truck just because it's a good deal. We're not buying a substandard truck.
It was what he was looking for and where.
Yeah, they were.
And increase the options for us.
They were what he was looking for spec-wise. So we're not going to have a lightweight truck. We're going to have a truck that will fit our needs. And I've had people in the past share with me, well, why don't you look at used trucks? Well, we did, and we've become fortunate enough to find what I think is a pretty good deal.
Mr. President, if there are no further questions, I will move to approve the transfer of $280,000 for the Highway Department's additional appropriation request for trucks.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second to approve the additional appropriation request in the amount of $280,000. Are there any more questions from the council? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it greatly.
Okay. Next up is our County General Superior Court additional appropriation request in the amount of $15,000 for pauper attorney fees. Good evening, Judge.
Good evening.
Smile, Judge.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. This is my annual pilgrimage down here for this appropriations request. This is the fulfillment of the promise I make every year at budget hearing, when I tell you what I really need, but then I tell you, if you need to give me less than that during budget time, that's fine. I'll just come back later when I run out, which I will. This is that time. There's not one thing under heaven different about that fund or the way we're using it now than any of the previous years when I've come for this same type of additional money. Again, just to reiterate the explanation of why we do this at all, this is actually a money-saving endeavor. Saves us about 2 public defender contracts, because this money is used to facilitate pleas at initial hearing prior to the appointment of public defenders, among other things, in hourly compensation, specialty compensation, Spanish-speaking attorney here and there. We hired an attorney who knew American Sign Language once years ago, things like that, odd ducks, but by and large it's to pay people who are on regular public defender contracts to show up for initial hearings, to give general procedural advice and comfort to defendants who have general procedural type questions. The idea being more of them may well then decide that they'd go ahead and admit to that which they were accused of, plead guilty at that time. Therefore, they never get to the proceeding where they would be asking for a public defender. I estimate the savings to be 2 contracts a year. So that's $100,000 a year that we save with the appropriation in this fund. So 30 buys you 100 basically. 35 buys you 100, depending on what it comes out to in a given year. It's a good deal anyway. If I don't get it, you don't. And the question is, well, you know, we just don't have it. If you don't have it, of course, the consequences, as I've explained in previous years, are fairly significant. There's nothing that requires the appropriation, that's for sure. It's just that then they'll just proceed to initial hearing, due process explanations, and a great many of them, another 100, 120, 25 a year, will ask for a public defender. Then the Public Defenders Commission will notice that my numbers are wrong, don't meet the standards. Then they're going to say they're going to take away our reimbursement money unless I hire enough public defenders to get the ratio under the rule. Then I can have my money back, or your money, I should say, which of course will make us want to hire 2 more. And there's the $100,000.
You're so persuasive, Judge.
I'll tell you what, I got it down pat. It's almost like a Miranda card. I can pull it out of my pocket. I know the whole deal.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we give the judge, the county general supervisor, additional appropriation request for his properties of $15,000.
Okay,
Second.
we have a second. We have a motion on the floor, it's seconded to approve the additional appropriation request in the amount of $15,000 for additional pauper attorney fees. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Judge, do you have any update on drug court?
Yeah, actually, I was up there working on it right before I stepped down here. I finally got the new Supreme Court overseer of this matter took over, and it was about a 6-week delay on the approval letter. She got that done, sent it to me last week. I had about a 3-hour phone conference with her and my coordinator, and she had a 5-page roster of all small things, but a lot of them that she wanted me to edit in the program. And so that's what I did over Labor Day weekend. Did you do anything as fun as that? Okay. And yet today as well. I think I just about have it ready to send back to her corrected. Unfortunately, I'm at the compulsory 3-day judges training the next 3 days at Indy. That's a very inconvenient chronology for me. These are 3 days I do not need to be gone from here, but it's just the way it worked out, and nothing could be done about it. But I'm going to send it tonight and then continue to communicate with her by email during the next couple days, when hopefully she'll just say, oh, super, you addressed all my comments perfectly, and here's your certificate, and go with God, here we are.
So once you get that, you can start.
That's it. I will get what's called the Probationary Certification, and that lasts 6 months, where they give you permission to go ahead and start. You can operate for 6 months. At the end of that 6-month period, then you will have what they call the full audit. And then at that time, presumably, if everything went well during that first 6 months of your operations, they give you the full certificate, and that's good for 3 years. And then from that point on, indefinitely, you're audited every 3 years.
Sounds good.
That's where we're at. So what we're shooting for, I think we're going to have clients in hand by the end of the month. Right? I think the problems that I've addressed with her are small enough that I've resolved them, I believe. And if not, I can tamp them down in the next couple of days, get the certificate, and we can actually start helping some people by the end of the month. I'm hoping. Okay? So that's where we're at.
Sounds good.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. David Baker. 144 to 911. I'm also going to ask if you could stick around after this meeting for
Certainly,
budget meeting.
certainly. I'm asking for on that 144, I'm asking for a movement of a part-timer to full-time. We're having that would be effective on the 15th or the 16th. The person's leaving one of our full-timers is leaving on the 15th. They put in a notice. And then we need 2 more part-timers.
So the full-time's replacing a full-time?
Yeah, full-time's replacing a full-time. And the part-timers, 2 are replacing, it's hard to say, it's arguably 3, because what I usually have is when someone leaves and goes full-time, they always want to be kept on the roster to come back and work occasional part-time hours. And so my back burner roster is starting to get very, very full with people that may or may not ever work there. They're nice to have in an emergency, but they're not really, it's strange, because they're not really go to the bank, go to bat for you part-timers, but they're there. And so, depending on how many hours they work, that's why it's kind of an art, more of an art than a science, in trying to figure out how many part-timers you need. It's just, these 2 that I have in mind are very good prospects.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on the 144 request for 911? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank
Ayes
you.
have it, motion carries.
All right.
Jenna Turner, probation. Heather,
I am asking for a 144 request also. It's to replace a position that was a full-time clerical. Her last day was not last Friday, but the Friday before. And I found a replacement for her for full-time. So it would be at the starting salary for clerical. I'm requesting approval for that 144.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 144 for Jenna Turner's replacement.
okay. The motion has been seconded to approve the 144 request for probation. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I hope it's the last time I'm here for a 144 for the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Patron Concerns. Mr. Mossberg, did you bring us anything to? Okay. Well, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here. It's always usually pretty empty out there. If there's no other patron concerns, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries, meeting adjourned. We will